Welcome to the podcast where passion and purpose collide. We are on a mission to interview women and the occasional token man about how their passion and purpose have collided to create healthy relationships and profitable businesses. I am Elizabeth Denham, here with Rebecca Monet. We are the co-founders of The Coterie for Women and publishers of the Franchise Women magazine. So hello, Rebecca.
Well, hello there. It seems like forever with the holidays sort of gobbling up all of our time. It's good to see you.
I know we haven't done a recording in a little while, so it's good to be back in the groove.
I don't know if you've noticed, but my cheeks are a little chubbier since Christmas and the holidays, all those goodies.
I think that happened to all of us. And the pandemic, we can blame that too. It wasn't just.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing what happens.
Oh no. So tell me what your rose and thorn are for the week.
So let me start with the rose.
Okay.
So it's been really interesting with the coterie and all the changes in my life this past year, moving cross country, remodeling a house, you and I launching the coterie, building a business, all of these kinds of things. Is the coterie has really created this sense of community that I think all of us long for. And it's been amazing as I've been going through my changes and even some health struggles, as you know, to have these women step up and encourage and support and nurture and be a cheerleader. I mean, a few of you actually got me food so I could eat once I got moved. I mean, that was like one of the most heartwarming, thoughtful, kind things ever. And then texts from some of the ladies within the coterie and some of the circles we're participating in, sending cute little videos and advice and cheerleading. And so it's just been this wonderful feeling of family and community and belonging, and knowing that even though we're all kind of isolated to some degree with this pandemic, we're not alone. We're not alone. Not as long as we have friends. And that's my rose.
That's a good rose. And it's true. We have begun to form bonds with women that we've never laid eyes on, in addition to each other. We've never laid eyes on each other. But it's starting to form this tight-knit, close group, and it's gotten very intimate in some of our meetings. It's very personal. And we all try to reach out to each other during the week when we know something's coming up for someone, or there's a struggle, or there's something that you're nervous about, or whatever. So I think that's a great rose. It's happening. What we want to encourage is we're beginning to see that happen in the coterie.
Yeah. And it's so authentic. It's so real and yet organic. It isn't just another group to join so you could do more business. These are real people having real conversations and truly showing their hearts and bringing their resources to the table. So it's been a real blessing to me. Now let me talk about not a blessing.
Okay. I kind of hate to shift gears, but go ahead.
This is my thorn, it's kind of a goofy one, honestly. There's this new app called Clubhouse. And actually someone from the coterie and one of my franchisors was telling me about it. So I joined the Clubhouse app, which you download on your phone and yada, yada, yada. But if you haven't already done it, I don't know if it's just my phone or if this is just, the evil brains of technology and how they program things. But when I get a notification from Clubhouse, it bings just the same sound as you would hear on a microwave. So you think there's hot food ready for you. And I swear to you, Elizabeth,
you've got a Pavlovian trigger going on.
Pavlovian. It's Pavlovian. You think you got warm soup or something, that's been warmed up for you. It's Pavlovian. It's evil, I tell you. So this Clubhouse ding goes off and you think there's some food being prepared for you. I don't even have a microwave in my home and I'm reacting, in a Pavlovian.
That is so funny. Well, I wonder if you can change the sound.
I don't know. I haven't checked into it, but I'm like,
Well, I think you might need to, unless you're going to live your life being hungry and thinking there's food waiting for you.
I think it's an evil conspiracy, with the food industry and microwave makers and, or
They're
just
somehow in cahoots with Clubhouse to make you think you're hungry.
that, or they think they could associate a positive feeling with food with community in these meetings, right? Like, oh, you're going to feel like you're having dinner with someone. I don't know. I just think it's been a fascinating experiment, but that's my thorn. I don't want a
It's an
dingy.
irritant in your life, clearly.
That's right. It's a thorn.
That's a good one. That's funny.
So how about you? What's your rose and your thorn this week?
Well, I think my rose is that we just finished a pageant that I volunteer for.
Yeah.
And it was something we weren't sure we were going to be able to have because of the pandemic. We had very limited capacity. We had to be very respectful of protocols for COVID, trying to keep the girls safe. We had 28 girls in at this time. But it went off well. We didn't have any kind of issues. Everybody was pretty compliant with the rules that we set. There's always some ups and downs and people with different points of view, but everybody kind of got on board so that we could have it. And it's over. So the rose is that it went well, and the rose is also that it's over because it's exhausting, and I look forward to it every year, and then I'm glad it's over.
Yeah.
But we had they picked 6 girls to be ambassadors of our Eastern Shore area down here, and we have a good group of girls. I think they picked a good strong 6 nice, smart, cute girls.
Yeah. Wow. And I know this has been quite a thing for you because you wrote the script for the show, you directed the show, and then of course we're also one of the judges for the winners.
Well, I judge the essay portion of the competition.
The essay portion.
So that's a kind of a separate thing. I'm on that committee. So yeah, there's a lot of involvement in it, and it's a fun way to reach. I tell you what was really gratifying is that I asked the girls, I interview them. They have a poison appearance where they walk down in their gown and the MC reads their bio, and I interview them for that and write those bios every year. And I asked them what the best thing about 2020 was. And their answers, at first they were like, well, what was good about 2020?
Yeah.
But once they got started, they all talked about ways they had spent the pandemic in positive endeavors. Like some got closer to their college age siblings who were not usually home during this time, or some spent some more times with their parents. One parent had a kidney transplant. She was thankful that she got to spend more time at home with her dad. So they all had they were much more insightful and thoughtful than in previous years, I think, because we've all had some time to reflect. And I think that it was nice to know that 15 and 16 and 17-year-old girls, they're 10th and 11th graders, used that time to do something so productive and really thought about what their lives meant. Some of them, some of them got closer in their faith. Some of them got closer to siblings. One baked more, one learned how to crochet. They all had done something productive with the pandemic. So it was I was pleasantly surprised at just how thoughtful and deep their answers were from young girls. So that always gives me hope for the future.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, especially at that age, to ponder your life and look at a very difficult year and be able to articulate well in an essay, in this case, what came out of it that was a positive. And what a great attitude. And
they're stick with it people, because it was not an easy year to do this.
No,
it was fun, and I enjoyed it more this year than I actually have in years past. So that was fun. My thorn, on the other hand, speaking of weight gain and such, I had lost some weight about 1.5 years ago, and then I had knee surgery, and then the pandemic hit, and so it all came back on. So I started on January 2nd on the Whole30, and I lost 11 pounds really fast.
Wow.
And now I'm stuck.
Dang.
So my thorn is that I've already hit a little plateau, and I'm not, anywhere near where I would like to be. So my thorn is plateaus. I hate
plateaus. I don't like plateaus.
Ugh. It's so frustrating, but you stay the course and it keeps going. So that is my thorn. I would like not to be able to plateau.
That's the key. Stay the course, keep going, do what you need to do every day. And in time you bear fruit. And it's so funny when you have quick results like that and then it plateau, it's very kind of discouraging. You got to keep on pushing through. So,
but boy, that first 11 was very motivational.
I would think so. That's so exciting.
So we'll see. I'm sure I'll get off of it in the next few days, but you
off of the
go so fast, you just expect every day to have success. And then the next few days you're like, nothing.
What's up with that? Yeah.
So on with that.
Yes, I'm with you.
Alrighty. Well, good roses and thorns to start off the week. And we will be back next week with more roses and thorns. So stay tuned. Welcome back to the podcast where passion and purpose collide. Today, we are with a very special guest and friend, Nancy Friedman. Nancy is the founder and chairman of the Telephone Doctor Customer Service Training. She's a popular keynote customer service speaker at franchise corporate meetings and conferences across the country. During the pandemic, she has become more specialized in virtual Zoom programs and fun webinars. So she is forged right ahead through all this crazy time this year. Welcome, Nancy, to the show. We're really excited to talk to you.
Ain't nothing gonna stop this lady.
No,
forge ahead, yeah.
That's right.
They gotta use the cane to take me off. Good to see you all. Good to see you all.
It's great to see you. And one thing we wanted to dive right into is you had a health scare last year. And I was in contact with you during kind of waiting to get the outcome of it, but you've learned a huge lesson from that about advocacy in your healthcare. So tell us about that story and tell us about that lesson, because I think it's something women need to know.
Women need to know, men need to know.
Mm-hmm.
The bottom line is when February hit, February, a year ago almost, Dick and I have always gone to a gym, 16 years, twice a week, without fail, bitching all the way, but we went. So bottom line, came June, I said, Dick, we're not going to go, actually it was March. I said, we can't go to the gym. Let's dust off the equipment downstairs because we weren't using it. And let's do our exercise downstairs. He said, that's great. So last August, we were on our own. It was great. We've got it all there. It's a mini gym and we're very blessed to have it. So I was doing 15 minutes on each thing, the treadmill, the bike, and there's a health rider. And I don't know if you know what health rider, it's for the abs. And I thought I was 35 years old. So I started doing it like the ab people do, real slow, 15 minutes, 5 days a week. Man, I'm going to have abs. Well, what I got was the horrendous muscle pain I've ever had in my life. So a week after the ice and heat, all the blah, blah stuff you're supposed to do, I called the doctor. She said, heat and ice. Okay, heat and ice. And a week later, there was still horrible, horrible pain. I said, now what? She said, well, give it another week. And I am an advocate for myself and I don't have patience. You know your own body. We all know our own body.
Yeah.
So finally, after 3 weeks, I went to the main doctor and I said, something's not right. This shouldn't be 3 weeks. It just, muscles are muscles and there's not even a little bit of betterness to it. He said, well, let's get you an x-ray. So I went downstairs for an x-ray. The next morning I come in and there's one of those portals from the doctor. Your x-ray shows an abnormal nodule. What the heck is an abnormal nodule? And he said, well, we won't know until we biopsy. So 2 days later, I'm getting a biopsy. Dick comes in, he's got a big smile on his face. Okay, nodule, he says, well, it is stage 1 cancer. And you're going to need to have it removed. And I said, what's involved? He said, well, they'll remove the top lobe and whatever else needs to be done. I said, just get it out of me, get it out of me. So 2 days later, not 4 days after I went to the first doctor, or the chest x-ray, I'm in the hospital and they removed the top 20% of my lobe and whatever. No, that's all. But the benefit is, the good thing is no chemo, no radiation, and no restrictions. So I hadn't had an x-ray in 6 or 7 years. The doctors have stopped the yearly x-rays. Now the men get a PSA every year. We get a mammogram every year. I get a pap smear every year. I want to advocate for a chest x-ray every year. That stuff grows and we don't know it. Do you realize, and I wrote the article, how COVID saved my life.
Right.
If COVID hadn't been here, we would not be talking. That little nodule would have grown and grown and grown, and it's like pancreatic cancer and liver. There's so many that you don't get a hi, I'm here. You know, it's on your skin. You can tell. You know, you get a lump in your boob. You can tell.
Right.
I cannot advocate enough to watch. You know your own body, ladies. You know, men too. You know what's wrong, and the feeling of oh, it'll go away can only last so long. Friend of mine, I think I mentioned it to you. I was telling her the story. She says, I haven't had a mammogram in years. I said, why not? She says, well, my arm hurts and I can't put my arm up here. I said, Joyce, little people get mammograms.
Yeah.
Kids get mammograms. Short people get mammograms. You know, they can raise the thing for the arm. And it was like a revelation. Oh, you know, she any excuse not to get one. So I don't want to spend too much time on it. It was a blessing in disguise. I am very grateful. And I love to tell the story only because if it can save somebody's life, when you go to your doctor and they say, thank you very much for coming in, say, where's my chest x-ray?
Yeah.
You have insurance. Where's my chest x-ray?
Yeah. And Nancy, the thing is, we hear that phrase around, you know, your body, listen to your body. But I think the missing link is we don't always act on it. As women, we're busy, we're taking care of kids, we're working, we're doing whatever, and you blow these things off. You know, you just
I have never blown.
But if you've exercised all your life, you understand what a sore muscle feels like, and that wasn't it.
It still is a muscle. Now she got me going to some, I can't even pronounce the word, a muscular something, I don't know, but I'm going to find out what the heck this is because it still feels. Can I get a little personal here?
Yeah.
It feels like I'm wearing a 13-year-old's bra. It's so tight under there. It's like when I'll use a better example. When you have Thanksgiving dinner and your belt's too tight and you want to unloosen your belt, phew, I cannot unloosen this.
Yeah. So you still got that to deal with.
Yeah, but you know what? It could be worse. I'm okay. I'm. If this is the worst I had to live with for the rest of my life, I'm okay.
You're good. Yeah. You know, I think that's one thing the pandemic has done is a whole lot less bra wearing.
The guys did not have to know that. The guys did not. But some of them you can really tell.
Information, right?
Well, no, some women you can really tell. It's unfortunate.
So funny. Yeah. I do think we've all gotten a little more, you know, casual in our.
Yeah, a little more casual. Even on camera, we're a little more casual.
Yeah, that's great.
So I love that you advocated for yourself. You're now encouraging other women to really pay attention to their body, step up, ask questions, you know, demand certain things because we only get one. We only get one body and we're kind of responsible for it. I'm wondering if I could shift gears a little bit. Okay. I've known you 27 years. I've seen you on stage 1,000 times. And you have this bodacious, fun, bubbly personality and this charisma. And so I see this in your life. I am wondering about this idea of a theme. Is this a theme in your life in general? Or is there a different theme that you sort of see throughout your life?
That's an awesome question. If you want to call it a theme, I'll take that. But I was brought up in a very happy home. And our dinner table was a comedy of not only heirs, comedians, etc. I mean, I don't want to take it away, but I could tell you story after story from years ago that happened. And everything had a humor to it. My father was a practical joker. And, you know, if it doesn't get hurt, it's okay. He bought a false thumb one time and it was all bloody and bandaged. And I came home and he's going, oh, there's blood. And it was horrible. And I'm crying my eyes out. Oh, Daddy, did you go to the hospital? He says, I didn't. Would you take it to them? And he takes it off. So I just been brought up with fun in my life. And then got Dick. And that was, you know, it's just been something we were able to do. We don't take ourselves too seriously. Our kids are fun. They pretty much have the same mentality. I told my daughter years ago, Linda, if it's not fun, don't do it. So she stopped making her bed, doing the dishes, laundry. That's not what I meant, honey.
Oh, my
You
goodness.
can't find, even with this COVID, I mean, there are silver linings, there are bright spots, there are people who salvage so much. Yes, there's terrible tragedies. Yes, we just happen to want to focus on the positive, and that's the way we live. Now, does SH happen to us? Of course it does.
Yeah.
So my mother had a wonderful saying, Rebecca, and I know you like these. Nancy, it's not the problem, it's how you handle it.
Mm-hmm.
So when the stuff hits the fan, I go, okay, this is here. Now what do I do?
Yeah. That's about
It's
all
so
we
true.
can
I mean,
do.
attitude is everything, really. I mean,
Yeah,
you
and
can curl up
you're
in a
right.
ball and mope about it, or you can, get on with it, really.
And that's interesting because when we moved to San Diego, Dick took me and a 6-year-old son away from his, my 6-month-old son, I should say, away from his grandparents. And I've never been depressed in my life, but I could call that the closest time I was depressed, crying a lot. I miss my mother, miss my father, miss my friends, and nothing. So moved to San Diego as a young girl and you don't know a soul and you got a baby. It's not easy. Well, maybe today it's easier, but it wasn't 25, 30 years ago. So he comes in and he throws me a book on the bed one day. And it was by Dale Carnegie, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living.
Aw.
I'm not a reader. I didn't want it. So it's a kind of book you can open to any page. And the page that I happened to open it to was, what's the worst thing that can happen? And he lists that if you start with that, when the stuff hits the fan and you can say to yourself, what's the worst thing that can happen? Well, obviously death is the worst thing. Okay, I wasn't going to die because I was in San Diego. So I took that off the table. What's the next thing that can happen? I'll cry a lot. Well, that's a choice I made. I decided not to cry. So if you just go, and it's this book, we still give it to young kids because they go through things, they don't know how to handle them. They're in a whole different, and you and I sometimes don't even know how to handle their problems because it's different. And then you get well, you don't understand, you've never been in love, or you don't understand, you've never been fired from a job or whatever. You don't understand, Mom, you don't understand, Dad. So that book, to anybody who's going through anything right now, was one, Dale Carnegie, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living.
He wrote several good
Yes.
books, including How to Win Friends and Influence People. It was a great book on building relationships. And then the one you mentioned. But it is interesting that you took it to heart, that really this is the worst. Well, that's not so bad. And it kind of shifts our thinking in a different direction that says, this is just a thing and it's just a temporary thing.
And I can take care of it. Yeah. And
I can take care of it. I'm in control of my thoughts. I'm in control of my life. I may not be in control of that particular situation, but I am in control of my mind and
that we are in control of our mind. Absolutely. And Dick and I we don't enjoy being around people who are down. We just don't enjoy it. I mean, negativity just does not, it is not part of our lifestyle. I mean, it's too hot, it's too cold, I'm too fat, I'm too thin, I'm too short, I'm too tall. So we removed all those people from our lives many years ago. Now we don't have a lot of friends. We don't want to be, so we just make ourselves laugh. Now, do we ever, argue? Of course. Do we ever get momentarily down? Of course. But he always says, what's the worst thing that can happen? And when you look at it like that, and I wish I created that, I didn't. What's the worst thing that can happen? Okay, so they don't use me. That's the worst thing that can happen.
Right. Well, and I've had this talk with my children because being a blended family, each of us has been divorced. There's been struggle with that. You have people in your life who are not great for you or whatever. And talking about anger, we've had some experiences with people who are just constantly angry. And so I've talked to my kids. I don't want them to adapt to that or adopt it in their own lives. And so I'm like, it's okay to be situationally angry, but if you're generally angry, you've got something to work on. Like you've got to come to a decision where you say, okay, this is what it is. And what am I going to do about it? And let go of that lifestyle of anger. So it harkens to what you're saying, because I think sometimes, especially younger people, don't understand that it is a choice.
Oh, he's not dressed.
Oh, funny.
We don't want naked men on our cameras.
No, he's not naked. He's just got you just come up this way.
Come on, you say hi, Dick.
Hi. Say hi, Dick. No, come around this way where the camera is. They can't see you.
Silly goose.
Come around.
We just heard about their fun lifestyle. We need to see what it looks like.
Here, just come over here.
Yeah, okay.
Push down, sit down. I mean, no, not on.
Hi, Dick.
That's Elizabeth. That's Rebecca.
Hi.
Nice to
They're
see you.
interviewing me.
Oh, good, okay.
I go fix your hair, honey.
Yeah,
I'll go fix your hair.
looking for a number to come through.
Talk
there.
about hair, I gotta fix mine too.
You can have my,
That's good.
I apologize.
I love it.
Worries.
All right, good meeting you.
We're flexible. You know,
Thank you.
Nancy, this attitude that you have of life needs to be fun, you're in control of your emotions and your thought. What do you do to create more fun in your life? You already mentioned you get rid of non-fun,
Yeah.
Debbie Downers in your life. But what do you do to create more fun in your life, in your family's life, and in your business? How do you deliberately do that?
I don't know if this sounds conceited or what, but I learned it from my mother. I'm happy with myself.
Mhm.
Um,
I don't think that's conceited at all. I think that's aspirational.
Yeah.
I'm not, I can be happy. And she used to say that. I'm happy with myself. I can do a crossword puzzle. And I don't need a lot of people. I know that people think, oh, I'm a speaker, and she goes out in front of 3,000 people, talks for 2 hours with no notes, Well, I told my husband, I said, I'm really an introvert. I thought he wouldn't stop laughing. This will be good for your oracles.
Right.
I do think that because, I can be happy by myself. And I don't know that a lot of people can be.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
Yeah.
something, do I need people? Of course. I don't like to drink alone. I need somebody to drink with. And I feel these Zoom, people are screaming a yes or no or yes or no. I have made more LinkedIn friends with Zoom
Mm-hmm.
that I plan to keep on relationships with both men and women. I think it's been a boon to networking if it's done right.
I think so too. I think that's been a big gift of the pandemic. But I want to mention you two are wearing a bunch of buttons. So one of the things I have seen you do in creating fun and in creating this positivity is you sent us our masks, which we wore on our podcast recently.
You really here.
Yeah, and there it is. I was looking for, here's mine.
Oh, mine's in my purse.
Mine's right here.
Don't put it on upside down.
No, we don't want to frown, Elizabeth.
Exactly. So you put these things out into the world. So tell us about these buttons. There you go. See, I think when you put those things out into the world, you create the lifestyle and the energy that you want. So tell us about these buttons. I love them.
I like to share this. These buttons were done when we founded the company, because our first video, which if you ever saw Telephone Doctor #1, you won't stop laughing. It's, you're talking 25, 30 years ago. I wore a mic here and I hit my chest and it went kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. Anyway, we created this because one of our lines is, it's fun to be good. And somebody says, why don't you make a button about that? And I said, that's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fun to be good, because when you're good, you start having more fun.
Yeah.
So if you're sitting out there saying, well, I'm a good person, you'll start having fun.
I think it's the reverse too.
Mhm.
It's good to have fun. It's good to be fun. It's good, I think it's both directions. It's fun to be good. It's good to be fun.
Well, what bothers me is people who draw the line in the sand and they say, this is not a fun topic. This is a serious topic. Yeah. Well, if you can't find something not humorous, but delightful, etc. Even if somebody says, Nancy, what about death? What about death? Do I have time for a quick story?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
It's really I'm not watching the clock. That's your job, Elizabeth.
Right.
Okay.
I'm on it.
You need to listen carefully, because I didn't think I was going to tell this story, but it's really perfect about how even in death you can have some fun. So a very dear friend of ours passed away way too young, 61 years old. This was a few years ago. And he's Catholic. I want you to remember the name, Jim Van Camp, Catholic.
Mhm.
He had 7 kids, and all 7 kids had 7 kids. So when we went to the wake, and I had never been to a wake, they made up their own group of 50, and then
Right.
big wake. And I had never been to a wake. And about 9 o'clock, everybody says, okay, we're going to go around the casket and say a prayer. And I said to Dick, what do I do? He's just stand there. don't make a scene, okay? So I stand there, and the priest comes over in front of the casket, and everybody's standing around, and the priest is reading the prayer book. He's just a little bit north of 90. And he's reading, his hands were shaking, he was stuttering and stumbling. And Dick says to me, go help him. Me? Yes. And so I looked at the widow, I said, yes, go. All right, so I went to the father, I said, may I read that for you? And oh, he was so grateful. So I opened the prayer book and I'm reading. Jim Van Camp, Nancy Friedman, Jewish. Dear Lord, please help the N family. The N family needs your guidance. The N family loves you. The N family this and the N family this. And I look up and the Van Camps are laughing. The whole group is laughing. And I said, well, that's strange. We cry at our funerals. Okay. So the N family this. And finally, one of the kids came and said, forget it. He's gone. Goodbye. I didn't realize that N dash line means insert name.
Insert name.
So I read the N family.
Oh,
To this day, when I see the kids and we do, they go, hey, Nancy, how's the N family? So that wake became one of the highlights of their lives.
Yeah. Well, if you've ever seen Steel Magnolias, Dolly Parton says, laughter through tears is my favorite emotion. I mean, that resonates.
Absolutely.
You know?
And laughter is my drug of choice.
Yeah.
I've never tried marijuana. Yes, vodka, yes, but I've never had any drug outside of what they give you in the hospital. I've never been addicted to anything. And do I always feel like laughing? Not always. You know, there's times I'd like to be serious, but it doesn't last long.
Mm-hmm. You can get back to that because that's your baseline.
Yeah.
I never thought of it that way, but you're right. That's who I am. I don't make excuses for it.
Well, you shouldn't. I think it's a lovely attitude that you have and you've been able to carry with you. So tell us how that attitude works into working with your family, because you work not only with your husband, but with your children as well, right?
Our son and our daughter. It is not for everybody. And I tell them that. Dick has the greatest line. Somebody asked him, gee whiz, he said something else, but he said, you work with each other 24/7, 365, you eat together, you sleep together, you work together. How did you do it? And without missing a beat, Dick says, we didn't know it shouldn't work.
Yeah.
Right.
And we started out young. We've had 5 startups, 2 radio stations, advertising company, something in between that we shouldn't even call a startup, and then telephone doctor. And each one was born out of an idea, a thought, very little planning. Isn't that strange?
Yeah.
Very little, there was some, but today, you know, if somebody talks about a spreadsheet, I think they're talking about something on my body. I don't know.
Spreadsheet.
And yet that's important. It just, you know, we've always worked together. It works for us. There are guidelines that you got to talk about ahead of time.
Well, what are those guidelines? Because I was going to ask you, do you have a lot of crossover between personal and business? Is there a separation? Do you treat each other differently at work than you do at home? How do you
all 4 of us, all 4 are by our first name. My son came and 20 some odd years ago, he wanted to work for us. And I said, we have an issue here. Number 1, you got to work a year somewhere else. You must work a year somewhere else, because working with your family is not all the fun you think it is. There are issues. We just don't care. We don't carry them home. You know, we don't carry our family stuff to the office. So you go work somewhere. And he did. And he came in, he said, I'm ready. I want to work here. I said, okay, here's the deal. If you work with us, I'm 9 to 5, I'm Nancy. And then at 5 o'clock when we go home, I'm Mom. Mm-hmm. Can you deal with that? He's, well, let me try. Let me give it a shot. Well, he's done it. He's done a great job. If you said to him, how's your mom? He would say, who?
Yeah.
It's been Nancy for so many years between Linda and David, my kids. He is now president of Telephone Doctor ServiceSkills.com, which is our e-learning platform, and done a tremendous job. Linda is vice president of client services. She does a tremendous job. Because we all grew up at that same table, we know our personalities.
Yeah.
And we know what ticks them off.
Mhm.
You know, like interruptions. There's a perfect example. I'm a interjector. Rebecca,
Interjector.
yeah,
An interrupter, an interjector.
That's a great one.
well, an interjector allows you to finish. An interrupter never does.
Oh,
That's look under Nancy Friedman's definition.
there you go. I like it.
That's a good way to distinguish, though.
Well, you can interject and then say, please continue. But Dick calls it, he says, you really interrupt people, Nancy. You don't mean to. He says, your mind, you know, being a high I, my mind is like, oh, I want to agree with you. And I agree with you. And I don't want to take the story away by any means. Where was I on this?
About interruptions and
Well, we were talking about pushing each other's buttons.
Yeah, and so both my son and my husband really get annoyed when I go, hey, and I say, I always say, got a minute? Not really. What do you need? Oh, when you're in a better mood, you better do it now.
yeah.
But we play off each other's humor.
Mhm.
Is everything 100% perfect? Probably not. I'm just blessed, I guess. And we're certainly not, what do they call those people who are so perfect? As Stepford wives or something?
Oh, right, yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I guess we can agree and have fun doing it. I mean, there's certain words we don't use. I just didn't allow them in the house. I can't even tell you what they are because I said it once to them. But there's certain words that have never come out of my mouth, never will.
Mhm.
It won't come out of there. You want to hear one?
What?
I guess it's hard for me to say it. They're not dirty words. When somebody tells you, I can't even say it. I'm going to say it fast. When somebody tells a person to shut up.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think that's the first time I've ever said that.
Well, it's disrespectful, you know.
It's a lot of things, Elizabeth, but it's yeah. So
words are powerful, especially in that situation. It doesn't encourage dialogue. It doesn't suggest acceptance or approval or love in any way,
absolutely.
shape, or form. And if you're working with family, how to say it? There you go. If you're working with family in particular, those kinds of words can shut off creativity, can shut off contribution, and it also blocks any kind of connection. So you're right. Why even use those words when it does nothing but put up barriers?
The other words I was never allowed to say, so the kids don't say it, is the word can't.
Mm-hmm.
They would say, I didn't ask you to fly, Nancy. Tell me you won't. Tell me you don't know how. Tell me you don't want to, but don't you tell me you can't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So in using these kinds of words in your dialogue, how do you resolve conflicts? Because evidently you have boundaries about what's acceptable. You're not going to say shut up in the middle of a conflict. You're going to say what?
Or how to tell somebody quiet?
Well, no, if you're in conflict with someone, what tools do you use to resolve that when you're working with your family? Because you're not going to shut them down.
Right.
What are you going? How do you as a family dynamic resolve conflict?
You know, that's not coming quick to me. First of all, we don't have a lot of conflict.
Yeah.
And that, again, I don't mean to sound like Pollyanna. It's just, we're shoulder to shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
In most cases. Now, you know, sometimes the kids have an idea that don't fit in with an adult, with a parent's plans,
Mm-hmm.
but they have the right to that. And normally they are right. I mean, it's ahead, you know, they're ahead of the times already. So we listen to them. And I do think that's an issue. Sometimes parents don't want to listen to their kids. And as they grow older, it's far more important.
Agreed. And it sounds to me like you've created a culture within your family and your business, since they are kind of one and the same,
right?
Where there is mutual respect. You recognize that they have value to bring. They recognize that you have value to bring. And when you see that in each other, that does minimize conflict, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, that's a nice way to put it. All four of us, none of us like conflict. You know, some people thrive on that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Some are drama queens, you know, that thrive on conflict, and none of us like it because we all just end up, I can't think of anything big right now, but there's always enough, I apologize if I hurt your feelings. Because that's all it is when you have family conflicts, you hurt somebody's feelings.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I know there's no horror stories behind us, and sometimes that's goody two shoes, but we've been very lucky. We've been very lucky. My son wrote my eulogy. And I said, "Why are you giving me my eulogy now?" And you know what he said? It's beautifully written. He says, "I've been to so many funerals where the son or the daughter gets up and says beautiful things, and everybody says, it's too bad you didn't tell him or her when they were living.
Wow.
And I want you to know how I feel now."
That's
So
beautiful.
true. That's such a nice thing that he did for you.
It is. I put it in the Bible so he can read it in 15, 20 years whenever.
Right. Well, Nancy, I was debating whether to ask you this question or not, but since you brought that up, what is your succession plan? Are your children going to take over when you slow down?
They asked Gregory Peck, Mr. Peck, remember Gregory Peck?
Mm-hmm.
When are you going to retire? And his answer is, what would I do?
Right.
So we don't have a plan. David is running the company now. Linda is so good at what she does, handling the client success team. Will there ever be another telephone doctor?
Right.
We've talked about that. And I said, years ago, people say, what are you going to do if something happens to you? I said, they'll find somebody. But now it's been sort of decided there probably won't be the name, the telephone doctor. It's sort of like Kentucky Fried Chicken, Colonel Sanders. There's not another Colonel Sanders. There's not another Tom Peters. There's not another Tom Hopkins. There's not, you have people who have been a brand, shall we say?
Yeah.
And we're proud of that. So the company can go on, although Service Skills is now, Telephone Doctor is the parent company. And then Service Skills, which is the online platform, and Nancy running around doing fun things, is just part of that. But maybe that's part of our success. We've never sat down and said, now who's going to take over when the old broad dies? What's going to happen here?
Morbid question, but it's an interesting thing. Our next issue of the magazine is about legacy. And clearly you're leaving a legacy through your business, and your children are coming up, and that's going to continue. But I do think we all think about what's going to happen when we do either decide to slow down or are forced to.
Right. Forced would be probably the worst for me. But I worry more, believe it or not, Rebecca and Elizabeth, I worry more about our content living.
Oh, yeah.
Our content is spectacular. It's good. It's effective. It's helped hundreds of thousands of companies, franchises and non-corporate America do better, help the ROI. It's not a pitch for it. It's just,
right.
So therefore, everybody in our office lives and breathes telephone doctor mentality. And
well, but to that point, and we need to kind of wrap up because of time, but to that point, just like Colonel Sanders and Amos Cookies, they're leaving a recipe behind or passing it on. Your content is that recipe that can live forever, right? That is the legacy. Even when Nancy chooses to step off the stage, the recipe for customer service success is in the content that was created by the telephone.
And that, I have every belief, because the kids are adamant about it. I mean, their kids, my grandkid used to call me up and say, you should hear how this lady treated us. They're aware.
To the telephone doctor.
Yeah, she was like tattletelling on this company. You should go in there and talk to him. I said, I did that once. I'm not doing that again.
Oh, that's
enough of that.
And as we move on through life, the delivery system may change with technology or whatever, but the message that you have established will always stay the same. So that's how you're going to live in your legacy, I think.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It has been a fun ride.
Yeah,
it's been a fun ride. So if someone wants to get hold of you, Nancy, to learn how to have a fun-filled life, or to learn more about customer service and telephone doctor, how would they get hold of you?
Oh, I'm so surprised you asked. Okay. Well, where to start? NancyFriedman.com, FRIEDMAN is about me. ServiceSkills.com is about the e-learning platform, and that's Service Skills with an S.com. It's a boutique, unique platform. There are platforms out there that have 5,000 series. We only have 15 series, 150 modules. Telephone Doctor series is there. We've got mentoring, mentoring, management, internal, external. There's 15 separate series. Our mission has been to stay within our wheelhouse. And that's a whole nother topic, but people come and say, oh, can you put something out on time management? I need time management. How am I going to write about it?
I'm going to
So
teach that.
we stick with sales, customer service, and communication skills. And that's what we do best. And it's like a surgeon. I mean, you wouldn't ask the brain surgeon to operate on your foot. He doesn't know about the foot.
Right.
So I'm not going to go, I can Google anything anybody else can and say, oh yeah, we could do a program on that, but it just never happened. And I never would do that.
Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you.
You
Thank
guys
you,
are
Nancy.
Very good. Thank you. You're
Thank
very
you
good
so
at what you
much.
do.
Yeah.
Spending time with us. We really enjoyed having you. We'll have you back another time in the future to talk about some of these other ideas you have. So thanks again.
What do you think is the #1 challenge for franchisors? You got it, getting the right fit franchisee. And as you know, poor fit franchisees are often poor performers. Poor fit franchisees cost more to train and support. Poor fit franchisees are rarely satisfied or compliant, which can lead to validation issues. Not a good place to be. But now there is a solution. Zoracle Profile's scientific spot-on match program. Working with top broker groups in franchising, Zoracle has created a platform that scientifically matches the broker's candidate to the right fit franchise brand. Spot On Match predicts the compatibility, performance, and viability of a prospective franchisee. Spot On Match gives the franchise development team a data-driven and scientific approach to selling franchises. This is how it works. Zoracle works with each franchisor to establish their top performer blueprint. This research assesses current franchisees to determine the key psychographic indicators that separate high performers from mid to low performing franchisees. The final result of the research is the brand's Eclipse report, which compares prospective franchisees to a franchise system's high performers. Finally, brokers are running a spot-on profile on each of their franchise prospects. These profiles are then scientifically bumped up against the franchisor's high performer algorithms, and the match process begins. Dashboards are built for the franchisor and the broker to make sure the process is smooth and trackable. Right fit matches instantly. Find out how you can be a spot-on match member. Save time. Stop guessing. Start matching. Call Zoracle Profiles.
Welcome to Women in the Know, where we discuss everything from politics and policy to relationships and marketing. We take the things we've learned through our life experience, our business experience, and our relationships, and share it with you to hopefully give everybody a little something they didn't know. So Rebecca, we were talking with Nancy Friedman today, and her whole theme of life is fun. And she truly lives by that. You can tell by everything that she does. So I know that you and I are talking about our themes for the year, and one of yours is to create more fun, deliberately create more fun. So I want to talk about how we do that, because so much of last year, and hopefully not much more of this year, has been, clouded by the pandemic and political unrest. And I mean, there's just been, and then personal struggles with, will my business survive? I mean, it's on so many levels, and navigating children through all of this and virtual school. And so in the midst of all of this, how do we have fun?
Oh my gosh, what a big question. It is my theme for this year. And because I have a tendency to be on the serious side, and my business is a serious business with Zoracle Profiles. So it is a conscious, deliberate thing. Nancy was raised in a fun, playful, silly, jokester environment. I was not. I was raised in a serious, heavy, save the world environment. The world is going to come to the end. So I don't have this natural instinct to think fun. So for me, the way I'm attempting to bring more fun is to think more like a child. right? To start to look at the world more like a child would. So if there's a hill, can I roll down it, right? Can I finger paint? What noise can I make that would scare someone? Just some silly things that will bring fun, because I think the childlike innocent spirit knows how to have more fun than the serious adult that's within me. So I think one of my goals is to be more childlike, be more silly, and deliberately do it. How about you? What are you thinking would bring more fun into your life?
Well, my theme of the year is to try and become a tornado of joy. So joy and fun are a little bit different, but in alignment. They're complementary ideas. And I grew up more serious. Also, I take things seriously. I internalize a lot of things. I take on other people's stress and worries a lot. So one of the ways that I have coped with that part of my personality is to always have something to look forward to. And now that I'm saying it, I'm trying to think, I don't think I have something on my radar right now.
Oh, no, we got to
It could be something like getting my nails done, or spending some time by myself, or going on a trip. I mean, it could be tiny or it could be monumental. One year, my husband took me at Christmas time, he told me he was going to take me to the US Open tennis in September.
Wow.
So I had a huge thing for 9 months to look forward to. So that was a big one. But it doesn't have to be that big. And I find that if I have that something to look forward to, the excitement of anticipation is almost as fun as the event. So it always gives me something in the back of my mind. But I also think one of the things that I need to do better is acknowledge when I'm actually having fun in the moment.
Yes.
Because I can get bogged down and this happened and that happened and this happened. But in this moment, I'm having fun, and I need to just sort of embrace that.
Yeah. Anything we acknowledge can expand, right? When we ignore it, it retracts in some way. I got to tell you one I've done for years. I wouldn't say I'm humorous or funny, but I do have a wit that comes out, a playful kind of wit that comes out, but it has to be in the situation. And I'm not someone that tells a joke or whatever. But one of the things I do that really helps with when the situation gets tense and a conversation is getting into a debate or there's some tension building, I imagine the people as cartoon characters, and there's a bubble above their head with whatever it is they are saying. The minute I turn this stressful situation into a cartoon with bubbles, inside I am hysterically laughing. It completely diffuses whatever that situation is, and it adds a certain kind of levity, and it brings out another part of me that now has that wit, has that playfulness, that knows how to diffuse a serious situation and turn it into a more playful, lighthearted, fun type of environment.
I think that's so true. And I think one of the things I have a lot of is internal dialogue. And sometimes I have learned to just say it. I was at the doctor getting, screening for a colonoscopy the other day, and she's like, if your insurance doesn't cover it before you're 50, then you're going to have to wait until April. If they will, you can go ahead and get it done. And she's like, but some of them are picky. It has to be one day after your 50th birthday. And I just said, because my health is going to drastically change over the next 24 hours after my birthday. And she just sort of chuckled. And I was like, sometimes I have those things in my head and I don't say them. And she just thought, she's like, I like your sense of humor. She was a very serious, GI doctor. But I think sometimes it's okay to say those things going through your head when you're in a situation that might or might not call for it. Like, you don't normally joke about a colonoscopy too much. It's not fun.
No. That usually isn't considered a fun topic, but some of the funniest things are heavy topics. It's a twist on it. Nancy Friedman actually talked about one which was around death, how she took a death situation and turned it into a fun situation, a funeral. So I think it is all about what's going on in our head and how we then translate it into our day-to-day life. But I got to tell you, this is our goal this year. You, the tornado of joy, me, I'm going to have more fun. I think if we make it a conscious decision and we have a list of ways to do that, we're going to become a tornado of joy and, a bodacious, fun person.
I think so. And look at what my husband just handed me the mail, and here are Nancy Friedman's buttons.
Yeah.
I was supposed to wear them on her interview, and they just came in the mail. But I have to tell you this one funny thing. So my husband had a colonoscopy last year, and we're in the thing, and he had told me about his GI doctor, who he couldn't decide if he'd had a facelift or hair plugs, but there was something going on in his hairline. So he wakes up in the recovery room, kind of high on the sedation, and loudly starts asking the nurse about the doctor's hair plugs.
No.
He's like, "What's up with that? Are those hair plugs? What is he doing?" And she
What is
just
it? I want to know.
looked straight ahead and kept on going. So when my doctor was trying to schedule mine, she's like, "Well, do you want to see the same one he saw?" And I said, "We're not going back there. No. We're not going to have the opportunity to have him." Donald said, "Well, I wouldn't say it now." And I'm like, "The cat's already out of the bag, buddy.
I don't want to go down that
We
road.
ain't going to that doctor."
Oh, that's funny.
Funny. My husband has no problem with fun or humor.
Good. He's a good inspiration for you. Well, hopefully this conversation is a good inspiration for everyone listening to make 2021 a year filled with more fun.
Agreed. The Franchise Woman is a bi-monthly digital magazine that empowers women as they navigate the franchising industry by providing relevant news, tools, advice, and inspiration. We are a resource for women who are seeking to own their own businesses, improve their existing businesses, find creative solutions, and take advantage of franchise opportunities. We feature women in the business who best exemplify our ideals and have something to teach our readers. In addition to our exclusive articles relating to the female entrepreneur, we also feature brands that are geared for women. Women have become the fastest growing sector in business ownership and have become a powerful, influenceable force fueling the economy. The Franchise Woman will give you the news that is relevant to you to help you navigate the path of successful franchise ownership. By women, for women, and about women. We are the Franchise Woman. Join us today at www.thefranchisewoman.com.
Welcome to Ask Beck and Liz, where no topic is off limits. We want to answer your questions about business, life, and everything in between. Send your questions to ask@beckandliz.com. That's ask@beckandliz.com, and we'll do our best to answer your questions. In the meantime, I have a question, Elizabeth, that actually stems from our conversation with Nancy Friedman of the Telephone Doctor. She talked about the power of words and certain words that she and her family won't even utter. And I thought her point was pretty spot on in terms of how powerful words are in your life. What were your thoughts when she was talking about that? Did anything pop up for you in your own life or in your families or in our business?
Yeah, I think, hold on. He's loudly telling Joseph to be quiet so that I'm recording.
You know what? We're talking about the power of words. I think this is appropriate. I thought it was hilarious. Whoever you're talking to is out of the scene and you're like very animate. Whatever you're saying, I'm getting, sometimes it's not the words, it's the expressions, Elizabeth.
Yeah, so maybe we should not edit that out. I'm like, so he pours dog food.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm recording. And then he goes and tells Joseph something through the bedroom door. Our house is wide open, so I can hear all of that. So I'm muting myself. Then he sits here and he says, "Joseph, be quiet. Your mom is recording," loudly.
He loves you. He's trying to take care of you.
Trying to look out for me very loudly.
Look out for you very loudly.
So on that note, here was what I was going to say. What I was going to say is, I think in family dynamics, when you are respectful and when you are trying to communicate respectfully, clearly shut up is bad. cursing at people is bad, but there are certain things people have been through in your life that you know about. And I remember one time I said something to Donald in a way that his ex-wife used to say to him. And it was just a very sensitive thing. It was very touchy, and I realized it. And once we got through being mad, I said, I will never say that to you again. I will not go that route, because I understand where that's coming from. And he did the same for me. I think, so to me, sometimes you don't know that something you say, or the way that you put something, or a tone of your voice even, is going to be something that someone is sensitive to. And I don't think you can always avoid it, but when it happens, you can recognize it and say, I am not going to say that particular phrase to you again, because I understand that that's something that's touchy for you. So I think sometimes it's an individual thing where you have to learn what those, I don't love the word triggers, but what those triggers are.
Right. Right.
Because I think it's overused, but they do trigger feelings in you that take you back to a place you don't want to be.
Right.
So I think when you're trying to build relationships, understanding where people are coming from and what their past experience has been is incredibly valuable in acknowledging that your words and actions and behaviors and even tone of voice have power, and you need to use it for good.
Yeah.
Like I just clearly did.
You did. You got the job done, Elizabeth.
Notice there's no one talking now.
I don't care what you were saying. I was going to obey based on your instructions a minute ago. It's like, okay, I'm going to toe the line there.
What are you doing?
So, it's interesting, this idea of the power of words, because it's not just the words, it's the intention behind a word, the inflection in your voice, etc. I have a family member, and someday I'm going to actually sit down with this family member and have a conversation, who is a relentless, he thinks he's teasing, but it's really, all the teasing is in a critical way, picking at someone's weaknesses, right? And I think you can tease and you can play in certain areas, at somebody's blind spots or weaknesses. But when you continue on teasing, criticizing, pointing out things, it's no longer funny. It's no longer a joke. It's no longer just fun teasing. It is painful for the person that hears it, and it comes across as criticism or disapproval or a lack of respect or whatever it is. And I don't think, in many cases, especially those that are natural teasers, that I don't think they deliberately do that. I don't think they mean to invalidate someone or disrespect someone. They think it's funny or it's cute. And teasing is an adolescent kind of behavior. We did a lot of it when we found someone cute, right? We teased them, we poked fun at them, we made fun of them. So usually you outgrow this teasing with words side by the time you're an adult and moves on. But for some, it doesn't. And I've seen it in business, I've seen it in my own personal life, that words, if given in a certain way, can heal, they can empower, they can edify, they can elevate. And if it's done in another way, it can destroy and cause disconnection and deflate individuals. So I think Nancy's point about words was a very important one for all of us.
Agreed. And my oldest son, when he was growing up, probably still now, if you're not in a joking way, if you're kind of mad at him and you're sarcastic, he cannot stand that.
Yeah.
For some reason, that method of communication, you know how you can get mad with somebody and just go, yeah, right. Well, be sarcastic.
Yeah, that's sarcasm.
And I tend to do that. Cannot stand it.
Yeah.
So I have to be very careful not to do that with him, because, and it's hard when he was like 15-year-old boys, man, hard not to be sarcastic.
There's so much to be sarcastic
So
about.
much that they should know and they just don't. You just think, and I have this tendency that my Hannah especially teases me about saying, what is wrong with you? And I can say it two different ways. They can do something like leave bobby pins in the refrigerator. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? Who leaves bobby pins in the refrigerator? Like, how does that even happen? Or I can say, you seriously made that choice. What is wrong with you? Completely different meanings.
Different tone of
Same
voice,
words.
different meaning. Mhm.
So I think it's about the power of words, but it's also about how you're using them.
How you're using it. Yeah. Is it
Because that's a phrase I
sarcastic?
use a lot in a lot of different contexts. So
Yeah. What is wrong with you?
like just now, what is wrong with you? You were yelling, be quiet.
Oh, yeah. My daughter uses one that is kind of funny. When she first started, I'm like, wow, that sounds terrible. She says, you weirdo, to her kids. And it's actually a term of endearment in her family, meaning you're unique, you're weird, you think differently. But the first couple times I heard it, I'm like, she just called her kid a weirdo.
Yeah.
But it's
their
endearment.
language.
It's their language and the way they talk. Oh my goodness, this topic we could go on and on and on about. But in the meantime, we do have to wrap up. I want to thank everyone for joining us today, where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships are forged. This is Beck and Liz signing off and wishing you another purpose-filled and profitable week.